wake up, I went out to get help from a nurse. The nurse came in and also tried to wake her up.
Oh, wow.
Tried smelling salts, and when that didn't work, the nurse slapped her across the face and said, "Come on, Brynn, honey, wake up, wake up, you gotta wake up."
Oh, my goodness.
Just a little too much walking. And when she still wouldn't wake up, the nurse then sent me to get a doctor. And
you ran, didn't you? I mean, you were running through the hospital. Wow.
Absolutely.
So the doctor gets there, and what happened? I mean, when do they tell you she's dead, or do they ever tell you that?
Well, when the doctor came into the room, I knew very quickly that something was not right. His demeanor changed entirely after examining her really quickly. He said, "We got to get her up on the bed." He had an edge of worry to his voice. And so we lifted her from the chair that she had been sitting in and put her on the bed. And then I left the room. I was trying very hard to not be the husband that's going to lose it. And
right.
And I remember being somewhat calm and sedate, and I walked out and I said, "I'm going to let them do their job." And I remained calm right up to the point where I heard him say, "Begin CPR."
Oh.
And
you lost it? That's when you lost it, okay.
Absolutely.
And he gets choked up every single time he tells it to him. So
it sounds like it, yeah.
There's a lot of love there.
So my goodness, yeah. I mean, this is the love of your life, and you're about to lose her. So just continue yours, and then I'm dying to hear Brynn's part of this too. It was like being in the closet with the door closed. I don't know.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Kyle,
you're trying to get out.
Yeah.
So Kyle, it's nice that we can laugh right now, but I'm sure this was devastating. So what did you do at that point when you say you lost it? Can you help us understand? Did you just break down and cry? Did you get angry? Were you screaming? What happened?
Well, there was to explain it in simple terms is almost impossible because there's not a single emotion that's going on.
Okay.
It's a mix of about 7 different emotions at once.
So what do they do?
Yes, the code team that responded to her cardiac arrest were working feverishly in the room trying to get her heart back pumping again. And I went out into the hallway, and it's an incredibly horrible feeling to have the love of your life dying feet away from you and being able to do absolutely nothing about it.
Did you go in to visit your son during that time? To hold him while he was in the...
I stayed there in the hallway, and I did the only thing that I knew that I could do, and that was pray. I just prayed. First, I told God, "Hey, you can't take her from me. We've already had this conversation."
Oh, love that.
I'm supposed to go first. That's the way this is supposed to work out. And then I prayed the only prayer that I could think of, and that was to pray for the people that were trying to save her life. And I said, "Please, God, let them be amazing. Please let them do their finest work." And
that's the title.
That's the title.
That's the title of the book. That's where it comes from. And as you can hear, she's right here in front of me.
You are both awesome. I love the story. So one more thing before we go to Brynn. So for 95 minutes before they tell you she's back, are you just out of it all? Are they doing everything and you're kind of in the hall waiting, or?
Yeah, that's essentially what it was. Obviously, there was some pretty horrible phone calls that I had to make while this was all going on. I had to call her parents. I had to. I can't even get into this.
Did you tell them that she died? I mean, did you?
Well, at that point, we were maintaining as much hope as possible. So I told them on the phone that it was very bad, but that they needed to come to the hospital as soon as they could.
Can I ask maybe a medical question? Do doctors normally continue working on a patient after they're dead for 95 minutes?
Yeah,
almost never. Almost never. The ER doctor that responded to the code actually had wanted to call it several times. At 20 minutes, she's basically looking at her watch and saying, "Okay, guys, do we want to call this one?" 30 minutes, same thing, and the code team that responded, a very special nurse by the name of Joan Stridham, was the head nurse on that team, and she would just basically say, "No, we haven't tried long enough."
Wow.
Oh my God, how fortunate!
Wow, what a wonderful.
Oh, she's God's angel.
What a touching story. My goodness.
Wow.
Brynn,
Yes.
what were you going through at this time? Do you remember when you first started to pass out? Did you feel dizzy or something as you were?
I don't remember anything. In fact, the last memory I have is 2 days after Thanksgiving. My son turned 5, and I missed his big, huge 5 pump it up birthday party, and that's my last memory. So I woke up on New Year's Eve, and I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what had happened, so I lost an entire month.
So Anthony's the second child?
He's the 4th one.
The 4th. Okay, so your so your 5-year-old had a birthday.
Yes.
You suddenly needed to go into the hospital to have a baby delivered by C-section, and you're kind of out of the whole thing.
Yes. I missed it. I'm so sad.
Oh.
So no.
And I don't have any memory of anything. I have no memory of his birth at all. That's why Kyle always has to tell that part, because nothing.
Right. So no lights, no former relatives, nothing, huh?
Nothing. But
Wow.
then again, most people don't last 95 minutes without oxygen. So I might have had something, but I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Oh my
So
God.
It was like my computer in your brain completely shut down, and then I had to reboot. So I had to learn how to swallow again. I had to learn how to feed myself and get dressed. Oh yeah, I had to start from scratch.
Who taught you everything?
I went to a 24-hour care facility at Tustin Rehab, and I learned how to do everything for a month, and then came home and continued my therapy for another good 5 months.
But your old memories came back, right?
No.
the old
you don't,
ones.
you don't have any memories from before the incident?
I have most of the memories, but not anything from him. So
Oh,
I stopped
from
remembering.
Anthony.
Yeah, from Anthony. Yeah, so the entire end of November and December and some of January, I don't remember, of 2009 and 2010.
But you
But
remember.
most everything's coming back.
But you remember your other three children and
Yes.
everything that went on in their lives.
But I didn't remember in the beginning.
Oh.
I didn't remember in the beginning. So I had to relearn their birth stories. Every year for their birthday, I tell them the day they were born, and Kyle had to help me the first year telling them because I didn't remember anything. But it's come back now, finally.
The part
So
of
it's good.
the part of the story that really resonates with me, and I guess it's what you want to resonate with us, is your prayer. That part, I mean, as a believer in God myself, I just love stories like that because, as much as we all believe, those of us who do believe, as much as we do, sometimes we still have questions. If I pray, is it really going to make a difference,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's quite incredible, even after watching a real-life miracle unfold before my eyes, I still go through stages of doubt and wonder, and I kind of go through that struggle, and I often joke when Brynn and I go and give our talks about this story that it's almost unfair for me because I've got to see God, I've got to see Him work firsthand, and it makes faith a little easier. Makes it a lot easier, to be totally honest.
Yeah, right.
How old were you both when this occurred, and how did your 3 children handle this?
I was 34 when this happened, and Kyle put them in therapy, so they were able to go to a therapist and talk about their feelings and emotions, and Kyle brought them to the hospital the night I crashed because he wanted them not to be shielded from any of this, to be a part of everything that was going on.
Oh, how insightful of you. Gosh.
That was
Kyle's
Kyle's.
amazing. Yeah, Kyle's amazing.
So,
Yeah.
so Kyle, you served as a Marine. Did that experience? I don't know if this even makes sense to ask this question, but I guess I'm just curious. Did that experience, that whole thing? I mean, Marines go through some rigorous experiences, obviously, and thank you for your service. I hate to not mention that part, but do you think there was any part of your, I don't know, word fortitude almost sounds corny, but does any part of your character come from that training and your ability to endure this and your faith itself? Does it come from your service?
Well, it's actually interesting that you asked that question because I include a chapter about my. It's actually a chapter about my boot camp experience, and it's in the book for two reasons. One, because it's a huge part of Brynn and my romance, our young romance. We wrote letters back and forth while I was in boot camp, but it was also I put that chapter in because I explain how difficult boot camp was and how I made it through every day, basically going from surviving in small chunks from breakfast to lunch to dinner and then to mail call. Mm-hmm. And it was that experience, I think, that actually helped me to survive that month that Brynn was in the coma, because that's how I went through my day. You don't look at the whole day. You have to break it up into small, tiny, survivable chunks, and then get up and basically survive 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah, there's a part in the Bible where, and I'm not a Bible scholar, and I can't quote it really like some people can, but in my, is that Anthony right there?
Yes, that is Anthony. Aww. He wants to talk to you.
There we go. Wow, we're hearing from one of the miracles.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Anthony.
Can you tell them how old you are? You're 3, and he's showing you 3 fingers.
3 years old. Oh, wow.
Sit right there and be quiet, okay?
Now I forget what I was going to say.
Anytime Mom's on the phone, it means he's on the phone.
Oh, that's a good thing, though. You're very close.
Yeah. We were trying to do this while he slept this morning, but it didn't work.
I totally have no idea what I was going to ask now.
We love children.
Sorry,
That's okay. That was wonderful to be able to hear him in the background there.
Aww.
So the book was an idea to write the book must have come from your desire to share the story. Am I right? And I guess part 2 to the question is why? Why did you want to share it?
Well, that's actually that's an often asked question. And when I was in Brynn's hospital room while she was in a coma, I began negotiating with God, as many of us will in a situation like that. I was an English major in college, and I told him, if you bring her back to me, I will write it down. I will tell the story. And that's what we're doing. That the book is that promise fulfilled, and now we're doing everything that we absolutely can to get this story out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a little bit of a cheat as far as my faith goes, having watched a miracle unfold before my eyes.
Yeah, really.
And I feel like I need to share that with people, and that it's a story that needs to get out there and help people through the tough times that they're having.
How long was Anthony in the hospital before he was able to come home with you, Kyle?
That is a fantastic question. He came home on the exact same day that Brynn left the hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in the NICU that entire time, and they left the hospital on the exact same day.
Now that
in fact, Kyle forgot to go get him.
Oh.
Oh, no.
About transferring me, my sister and her husband, God bless them, moved in with us. And Katie said to Kyle, what about Anthony? He's like, oh, dude, I forgot the baby. So we went back to the hospital and get him. Yeah, you.
Oh, I know what I remember what my question was. I remember what my question was now. I started to try to my best to remember a story from the Bible, and it was, I think Jesus is basically teaching people to. He was asking them, what good is worrying? You don't know, you can't control tomorrow. It doesn't do anything. And I've often thought, well, you can't even control the next minute, let alone tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I guess that thought came to mind, Kyle, because of your story about handling anything one little bit at a time.
It's an absolutely excellent point to make, because it's so easy to get caught up in the mortgage, in the credit card payments, in are the kids going to be able to go to college?
Right.
And it's so easy to forget that you have this moment right now. Right now, you can go and hug your child, hug your wife, because you don't know what the next 60 seconds is going to bring.
That's right.
And that when I first wrote the book, it was in an effort to say, hey, God exists. He does his work through us. And then we've learned over the last 3 years that there's an even greater message, and it's that don't take any moment for granted. Grab those people that you love, tell them that you love them as often as you possibly can, and make sure that you enjoy those moments.
Man, you are absolutely right. Things pass so quickly. Robin and I have a saying, and it is that the time between dreams and memories is only the blink of an eye. You could be dreaming and dreaming and dreaming about that trip you're going to take to the Grand Canyon or whatever, and then before you know it, you're looking at photographs of the whole thing, and you're going, "Wow, is that over already?" I have a 27-year-old son. My fondest memories of my entire life are raising him and watching him grow up, and I look back on those 27 years and say, how did that happen? How did they disappear so quickly?
Yeah.
So you are absolutely right, both of you. Take that moment, man. It's not going to last forever. Nothing seems to.
You both.
Yeah, I call that the parental time warp. It seems that as soon as you have a child, it just zips by. I mean, I got a 6th grader standing in front of me right now, and I don't know where that. I don't know how that happened.
Soon to be a driver, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah, I know, right? And they're all waking up, so if you hear some noise in the background, it's time to get ready for school.
You have, Kyle. You have have had to have support for yourself through your family, but you have also had to have support for them during the 2 months that Brynn and Anthony were in the hospital. You pulled triple duty. How did that? How did you manage to really, really stay sane through all of this?
There's actually an entire chapter in Please God Let Them Be Amazing that is devoted to that. And I start the chapter by saying, there were people that would say to me, Kyle, I can't believe how strong you're being. I can't believe how you're surviving this. And the only response that I have is it wasn't strength. It was simply that I was unbelievably blessed. I was incredibly blessed by all the people in our lives, our friends, our family. The support that I received during that month is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I had so much food that I actually had to get a cooler to put extra food in.
Wow, what an amazing
everybody
story.
wanted to bring us dinner, and it was fantastic.
And is the nurse still at that hospital?
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
And we're very good friends to this day.
Oh, wonderful.
She's wonderful.
Kyle.
And I remembered her. That's the one thing I did remember. I remembered her voice. I went to the hospital to visit everybody, and she spoke to me, and I was like, oh, my gosh, I know your voice.
Oh,
and
wow.
everyone in the room, burst into tears, and I didn't know why.
Oh.
But she talked to me when I was in a coma, and I knew who she was.
She has a very distinctive voice. She's got a slight South African accent.
Oh, okay. Kyle, Derek, Ervin, and Brynn Ervin are our guests. We're just about ready to wrap it up. The book is called Please God, Let Them Be Amazing. If you were listening earlier, you know that's what Kyle prayed to God in his request to have the medical professionals that were handling Brynn, who had died and remained dead for 95 minutes before being brought out of it. What an amazing story. So God answered your prayer. They were amazing. It says here, one ordinary family, 2 extraordinary miracles, the other one being the birth of Anthony, who's with them right now as we
3
speak.
years old. Happy birthday.
What a great story. I'm so glad we did this interview with you. Let me ask about websites and how we get the book. Let's start with websites. Do you have a website?
We do. You can find the book at letthembeamazing.com.
Okay.
And there's a page there, and you can just click onto a link to Amazon or Barnes & Noble. It's also available in all major internet venues. It's also available as an ebook.
The book itself is a promise to God. How about that?
Yes.
Letthembeamazing.com. Thank you both. Bless both of you.
Very much. Thank you so much for having us on.
Just a great. I just kind of wish we weren't saying goodbye. Thank you both for being on the air with us. Just a great interview.
Thank you, Larry and Robin. You have a wonderful day today.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a little break and we'll be right back.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others.